God for some reason, and he's being punished. So sitting on a dunghill, that's his punishment. He's lost everything, everyone he loved, especially, and all his fortune, everything. And now he's sitting on a dunghill. But he won't curse God. He won't go that far. He doesn't understand why it happened to him. He doesn't think he did anything wrong. He doesn't get it. And then the end of the story, God comes to him and he says, let's just do a little reality check here. Have you ever walked in the depths of the sea, he says. Have you ever measured the depths of the heavens? And so on. And he compares Job to himself to show that Job is just a man, just a small human being, and that he is God, the infinite and the almighty. And then after doing that, he restores everything to Job, and Job gets his family back and everything he had before and plus. So all the punishment he suffered ends up being turned into resurrection, in that all the things that were lost to him come back to him and then some too. And that's the way the story goes. So this particular part here is just a moment in that story. It's not the whole story. Now, taking that into the present day and age, I'm going to refer to a couple of things that are really pretty grim, so please bear with me as I do that. In Yemen, tens of thousands of children were killed by bombings over the last several years. On the BBC one night, you saw a young man in his 20s, early 20s, who was looking for his son, who was just, very young, because it was his first kid. He had to identify the body, and I won't go into the details of that because it's quite disturbing. But, so a young man in his early 20s has to identify the body of his young son who was killed in a bombing. That's a joke. And if you watch the BBC today, you would have seen stories about the Uyghur women in the concentration camp in China being raped. And that's very disturbing too. And you would have, actually, if you watch the BBC today, you'd have come away thinking, the pandemic isn't all that bad, There was a story about Myanmar and the protests there, young people with their kind of Western look, with shirts like you get at Target or Walmart, with pictures on them and sayings on them and things like that, with the three-finger salute, from the movie that was out, and I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, it's their generation. They're in the streets. They want democracy. They want change. The military took over the government, and they're all out there unarmed, bravely in the streets, protesting. Also, there's a story about farmers in India, which was really quite striking. Small farmers all over India were blocking roads all over the country, and India's a big country. And small farmers from all over the country were blocking roads all over the country so people couldn't deliver things or go anyplace. In protest to legislation by the government that would give price control, they think anyway, to big corporations over their goods. Now, whether it would or not, I'm not sure. But the government was trying to do something progressive, and it seemed to the government that these businesses would provide services to the people they didn't have. So it's not really that there are any black cats here exactly, I don't think. But these farmers don't want it. And they're making their voices heard. And they're making their voices heard all over India. If they don't want it, well, maybe they'll get their way. State in India was saying today that he was willing to negotiate or to talk and that kind of thing. But there were a lot of stories anyway. Now, there are a lot of situations where Job still exists, or to bring it up maybe to a more current frame of reference, where Jesus is still crucified. That's kind of an old saying, really, but that goes back to the 50s or 40s maybe or something. But Jesus did say, whatever you did to anyone, you did to me. And so when we see people who are living the life of Job, let's say, a way of expression, maybe you can consider that a picture of Christ crucified over again. Now this is pretty sad, pretty grim, I realize, and pretty heavy-handed, and all of that. But the world we live in does have some pretty ugly, tough situations in it. And it needs a lot of prayer. It needs a lot of help. Now the good news is that there are a lot of people who are really trying to do that good. Lots and lots of people. More than you could possibly ever count. We're fighting one battle or another, fighting to get vaccines developed, fighting to feed people, fighting for justice where it doesn't exist. And it's a long battle, it's an uphill battle, and there are lots of people fighting it. And we can fight it too, each in our own way. Maybe we can't go to India, let's say, or maybe we can't go to Myanmar or someplace like that. Maybe we can't help the Rohingya who were driven out of Myanmar in an ethnic cleansing. Maybe we can't help those people, but person to person, but we can pray for them. We can pray for Mr. Navalny in Russia, who was being held prisoner by basically a thug whose only answer to every question is brute force. We can pray, and we should pray. Now, the last thing I'm going to say on this is that those are big picture things. We shouldn't forget the close home things. Never forget that. Never forget how important your own loved ones are, and hold them close to you in prayer. And also never forget to say thanks, because that's really important too. Eucharist, word Eucharist means to give thanks. And it was always intended that prayer include thanks. So as much as there are tough things in lives of Job out there and all of that, we still are invited to give thanks, and there are things we can do that for. So anyway, we pray, and let us do that now. Yeah. Oh, yes. Rachel is going to speak about the Catholic Services Appeal. We're coming on that now, and that's really important. So, in light of the things I've been talking about, maybe it's fitting that I spoke this way. Please come in, Rachel.
And hope. The Catholic Services Appeal Foundation is an independent foundation partnering with fellow Catholics to share Christ's love with neighbors in need through ministries that serve the poor, support life, and strengthen the faith. With your support, we provide funding to 20 different ministries that help create a better future for all. The supported ministries are Abria Pregnancy Resources, American Indian Ministries, the Archdiocesan Council of Catholic Women, Catholic Charities, Deaf Ministry, every Catholic elementary and high school within the Archdiocese, evangelization initiatives, hospital chaplains, Jesucristo Resucitado Venezuelan Mission, Latino Ministry, Marriage and Family Life, Prison Ministry, Rachel's Vineyard Twin Cities, St. Lawrence Newman Center, Catholic Campus Ministry, St. Paul's Outreach, Seminary Tuition Assistance, Room and Board, County metro area, serve over 10,000 hot meals, and provide shelter to over 5,400 people per year. Your gifts support life by funding hospital chaplains, providing healing and hope to those touched by abortion, and offering counseling, physical care, supplies, and resources to those in crisis pregnancies, and to families with special needs children. The designated ministries also strengthen the Catholic faith in countless ways, including giving more than $2.5 million per year to Catholic schools for operating costs and scholarships, providing tuition assistance and room and board for those studying to become our future priests, and helping vibrant communities of faith reach out to young people, Catholic American Indians, our Latino brothers and sisters, and deaf Catholics. Our goal this year is to provide $9 million to help meet the many needs throughout our community. As good stewards, total CSAF expenses are kept at a lean 10% of budget, and a percentage of gifts given to the CSAF are shared with your own parishes for their ministries. Now a message from Archbishop Bernard Hebda.
Our Archdiocese is blessed by the Catholic Services Appeal Foundation. Its annual appeal supports ministries vitally important to our local community. There are ministries that have a huge impact on our lives in every situation and on our church. In this period of COVID, can you imagine if we weren't able to fund having chaplains in our hospitals to take care of our loved ones? At this time of particular need, please be generous in supporting this year's Catholic Services Appeal. I'm confident that together in hope, we can share Christ's peace, dignity, and joy with our brothers and sisters.
Together in hope, let's foster faith and dignity for all. Visit givesaf.org today and help create a better tomorrow.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm a little bit off the beam here this evening, I guess. But this was the evening for the appeal from the Archbishop and from those who speak on my message. I'll just offer the thought that there are many ways to pray. One of them is to contribute from your own resources.